Warm greetings. Good to connect again. I'm going to start with language announcements, and we'll first go to Eva for Spanish. Welcome, Eva.
Hi, Sara. A ver, perdonad, ¿eh? Buenas tardes. Para recibir la traducción, los que os unís desde Windows o Mac, hacemos clic en los iconos de control de la reunión, en donde pone interpretación, que está con el símbolo del globo del mundo. Y después seleccionamos español y luego como opcional está el poder silenciar el audio original. Y luego para los que unís desde Android o iOS, hacemos clic en los 3 puntitos arriba y después en interpretación de idiomas en español, y lo mismo, si queréis pues podéis silenciar el audio original y después le dais a listo, muy importante porque si no, no guarda la configuración. Ok, Sara, thank you.
Thank you. And welcome Meenakshi for Hindi.
भाषा के अनुवाद के चुनाव के लिए विंडोज और मैकओएस पर अपने डिवाइस पर ग्लोब को क्लिक करें, लैंग्वेज इंटरप्रिटेशन को क्लिक करें और लैंग्वेज भाषा का चुनाव करें। एंड्रॉयड और आईएस के लिए आप मोर पर टैप करें, फिर लैंग्वेज इंटरप्रिटेशन यानी कि भाषा अनुवाद के लिए क्लिक करें और फिर अपनी भाषा का चुनाव हिंदी करके डन पर टैप करें। थैंक यू।
Thank you. And Stephen for former Yugoslavian group.
Om Shanti. Jugosloveni, znate sve kako ide, znači na Windows i Macintosh na znak globusa kliknete, izaće vam former Jugoslavija, kliknete na to, mutirate originalni zvuk, ako hoćete samo da mene slušate, ili to ne dirate ako hoćete oboje, a kod mobilnih 3 tačkice ili more, language interpretation, odaberete former Jugoslavija, potvrdite i mutirate originalni zvuk ako hoćete. Om Shanti. Ok.
Shanti, thank you. Just checking it's working for everyone. Just the Spanish group, we waiting? Yes, great. We will start this session with a short drill, same as yesterday, and we'll meet back in a few minutes.
मन बुद्धि संस्कार तीनों के मालिक बन ऑर्डर करो स्वीट साइलेंस तो अनुभव करो ऑर्डर करने से अधिकारी बनने से तीनों ही ऑर्डर में रहते हैं। अभी अभी अधिकारी की स्टेज पर स्थित हो जाओ।
Thank you. It's so beautiful, this stability. And what touched me from yesterday was reminding that the role is also part of the story. And then it feels much more clear that we can have stability because the role, what's happening about the role, around the role, the performance is all also in the story. And huge relief for the invisible traveler who's watching. And yesterday's invitation was that these 3 days we can use Paras, focusing especially on putting it in place. And with the power of the group, it's a very nice way to use this collective focus. So warm welcome, everyone. I see some questions coming up already, which is really good. And feel free to comment as always. And welcome to Prashant. And over to you.
Thank you. And good afternoon, and very nice meeting again. So let us build on the practice that we just experimented with, being the master of the mind. And who is normally the master of the mind? In a metaphorical way, we say senses are the master. But in reality, 10 heads of Ravan, they are the masters. How can we change it? The one who is to be the master, he should be conscious at least. If he is not even conscious, he cannot be the master. But it is good for us to know that it is an easy step. It is not a long. Just right now, understanding that this language is very good. Invisible traveler. Invisible traveler is the invisible soul. And who is from different world altogether, visiting this world. And he sees differently. He's conscious. His perspective is different. As was said just now, he sees the whole thing here is a story. And so he has no bondages. Story, there are so many stories in this world. This is another story. That is the way he sees. What a freedom. And what a secret. Baba uses the expression Jivan Mukti in a second. Literally, you find complete freedom in 1 second. And if you are free, you are the master of the mind. It is the conscious soul, he is the master of the mind. When these 10 heads of Ravan are the master, your mind is in the grind, thinking about the story. That is all. Different things of the story. Some cyclical thoughts, some obsessive thoughts. It is but pull or push, but it is you are in the story as if nothing else is there. When the invisible traveler is conscious, he has the real world to think about. He has the father He experiences the perfection of his world. He's seeing his family, true family. And at this level, it's a celebration. He realizes everything is okay. It is not whole life trying to fix things and trying to worry about things. Everything is okay. Story, he knows. Story has got its own script and that is going on. But he is in celebration. Invisible traveler is also the invisible prince. And he is loved by the King of Kings. He's from that family. His happiness is based on that dimension. So now the mind is used. That is, we are not blocking the mind. We are not stopping the thoughts. Mind is such a wonderful thing. But mind is used by the angelic prince. Most important angelic prince. He's conscious and he's sensible. Ego, Ravan, they are kings in ignorance. So it is wasted. Time is wasted. So it is nicely mentioned in spiritual writings. When one is in that ego kind of life, Ravan's life, your ideas of success and your ideas of progress, it is all in vain. It is wasted. You wake up and you say, what you thought was progress is such a wasteful idea. What you thought was love, it is in vain. Your labor in vain. And your sorrows are also for nothing. It is wasted life. Just as we mentioned sometimes, someone is in dream and he might think he is having a great progress, but it is in vain. When he wakes up, he realizes he was wasting his time. So here we have the option. First, be conscious. Who becomes conscious? Not Prashant, but the invisible soul. He is the invisible traveler. He sees traveler, that is nice, traveler, but he is sensible. He knows the story for what it is. That's why he is the angelic prince. Angelic because he is immensely useful to himself, useful to others. Most strategic benefit is not to improve the story, but to help the brothers, invisible brothers, who are caught by this story, are deceived by the story. These are all same. They are also invisible princes, and they are also angelic, and they are loved by God. They are from the family of God. But at the moment, they are not experiencing the full extent of what they are. Why? Because they are deceived, different levels, deceived in the story. Ravan has become the master of their lives. So if you are free, you are useful to others. This is the strategic interaction. To improve the story, to create some amazing construction in the story. That is nice, but it is a story. Episode changes. And then you are back to your real world. When we are unconscious, when the soul is not conscious, ego is conscious. As was mentioned, ego and Ravan, it is product of ignorance. And in ignorance, our actions are not neutral. Ravan's actions, they bring penalties. So it becomes sin. So sometimes one may be asleep. Asleep, it may appear neutral. Okay, sleep bit longer or shorter. It really doesn't matter. But this sleep is Ravan's sleep. Ravan is in charge of your life and mind. So it becomes sin account. We do things, not that anybody is stealing or robbing, but just Ravan's presence, Ravan getting bigger, that itself becomes a sin. Ego getting bigger, it brings penalties. Vinash forces. Excellent. I got some things to read, Murli passages, but Sarah mentioned earlier there are questions. It will be nice to deal with some questions.
Yes, in no particular order. Veena wrote this afternoon, when someone with a higher consciousness leaves the body, will the soul reincarnate? If so, when does this journey of rebirth to a higher consciousness end?
Sure. In bhakti and different ideas, different concepts, they interpret to be reborn, to be born here is bad. This is the attitude in some traditions. To go home is good, it is a progress. To be here is bad. So reincarnation is bad. This is some concept. The way we see, we are players. Invisible soul is an invisible traveler. He's also invisible player. And player needs a home, of course. Everyone needs a home. But player needs a field also. There comes a time he wants to go on the field. And he wants to play. If you tell him, some big player, you tell him, I'm going to give you a very nice home, but no play anymore. He doesn't think that is a great life. He is a player. He wants to get out there. And he knows beforehand he might get tired and he might get injured and he might get a penalty card, he might win, lose, but he's a player. He wants to go on the field. Same here, we as eternal players, invisible players, we have a home and we need a play field. And to come on the play field is not wrong. It is not anything less. It is not a failure to come on the play field. For a player to come on the field it is meant for them. The whole physical world is meant for the players. But what is wrong? What would you say? But still we can do something wrong. What is wrong? To come on a field is not wrong. To play is not wrong. What is wrong? You can type your answers. Or is there anything wrong?
Yeah, there is some forgetting it's a play, getting attached to the field, to forget you're a soul, to be body conscious.
Yes, good. Yes, that's right. When you're playing to get attached to the ball, then you are spoiling it. You say you're fighting with the other players for the piece of the ball. And then there is no play, it is a war. So at present, we have transformed the play into a war. Just because of the madness. It can happen, if you introduce a game to the children, and if it is not, children are not at the right level, they don't get a kind of game, and they will fight because they have not even understood the game, and they are fighting for the piece of the ball. They want to break the ball, and they want little pieces of it. Same here also. At present, our consciousness has dropped. So we are all fighting for this piece. But when the consciousness is raised, they understand they got a home and they are princes and they got fullness in their reality. And this is an extra experience. Nice to play, nice to see others play. Bye-bye, go. You win the play. We have to, as if right now we have lost the play into war. We have to change this war into the play again. Even right now, this our society, like say this country, Cambridge, there is no war going on. Physically, we don't see a war, but our human mentality as if we are at war. We all want to get some piece of something, some land, some job, some attention of someone, affection of someone. And we are at war with each other in some form. So it is that's why there are bigger wars, because everyone is in the war mentality. When the consciousness is lifted in our mind, we win the game, and we play the game. So the concept, the higher consciousness, in that higher consciousness, you win the sky, you win your home, you also win the play. Both are nice. In a lower consciousness, you've lost the home. You're completely forgotten. And you've lost the play also. You're fighting for the ball. And you think it is success to get a little piece of a ball. Yeah. I think, sorry for too long an answer.
No, it's painting a clear picture. It's helpful. It's probably answered other questions as well. Maria's typed, is it a constant balancing act? Because we notice we often want to solve things here in this drama. We want to fix something, but actually the message is that we're not here to as if improve anything. We are more to lead our lives with this understanding. She wrote trust in a higher power. Do you have any comments on that?
We are here. Right now we got a purpose. We have to be conscious. The soul has to be conscious. And it is a huge shift. It is not a small shift, huge shift. We saw various times. There is a beggar and the eternal prince. Prince, that waking up, you are with world of God and world with the God. These are not some belief in God. That is different tradition. Here it knows immortality. That invisible traveler, he knows of the true world, true family, true self, he discovers. So these are big things. And from there, many other things will become clear. Trust is not a language we use, but understanding and waking up and seeing. It's a rational process. That's what we want to emphasize.
Yes. Okay, that's clear. And do we keep this remembrance of spiritual knowledge accumulated into the next incarnation? Is it recorded in our sanskaras? It's a question from Louise.
Sure. The information doesn't go with us. But if the deeper transformation has happened, because this whole knowledge is meant to bring about transformation. Like if we create this time to stay awake, if we are creating this and a soul consciousness within us, create time to change this habit of attachments and ego, if we reduce Ravan from the system, that goes with you. That goes with you from today to tomorrow. So some habits you have changed. Today, tomorrow you wake up with a different mind, different tendencies, different sanskaras. So they are going to go with you from today to tomorrow, from this life to beyond.
Yes, thank you. And Roy is asking, how do you know you have experienced this higher consciousness? Is it a fleeting experience at first?
That's right. In the beginning, it will be like glimpses. You are getting glimpses, and old habits come over. Old consciousness is very dominant. But within that, from the first day, we can create this opportunity, to come in those experiences. Micro experiences, glimpses, you get, but to note it down, to acknowledge it. This is what it is. Okay, acknowledge it, and they will grow. In this connection, I would like to tell, Maya, within us has got one power, and that is power to merge. So you might get some very good realization. Maya will say, now finish it, and let us be busy with something else. You have some deep experience. Maya will say, that was past, let us do something else. Maya has power to merge. Merge implying to put a damp on it, to finish anything that is positive. And you end up saying, oh, I never had any experience. But to overcome that department of Maya, worth writing down. Like even here we mention at the end of the day, end of the session, as a good student, it is very wise to write down what was very relevant for you, your own notes, your own insight in it, your own words, your language, your experiences. Write down. Create 15 minutes of practice. Write down what you experienced. An important thing, because once you have written down, you have acknowledged, that stops Maya saying that, I have not experienced anything, I don't know anything. This kind of chant will come from Maya.
Thank you. Yeah, there aren't any other questions right now.
Sure. So I was going to read this passage, and this is Murli. Most of us are familiar with the language of Murli, spoken by Baba. This was spoken in 87, and the subject was Karmatit. And the meaning of this is the final stage, perfection. We don't use the word enlightenment. Enlightenment is the beginning of the journey, and Karmatit is the final last step of the journey. Atiti has the meaning of detachment of a guest. Atit. So the huge emphasis is made getting freedom from this drama. That is what the whole process is, getting freedom. And so if you achieve freedom in mind, you are not slave to anything here. May I ask, what is the one way I create a bondage? So there are people, body, objects. You are dealing with this life. You don't want to run away from this. You are with people, family, objects, and body also, food. When do you create a bondage? When is it a bondage and when it is not a bondage? Can you give me an example?
Well, Tara wrote, when we say I and mine, when we create the identification, there may be other answers coming.
So there are people around me, and I don't think any of them are mine. They can be even at work. There are people around me. Is there a bondage or there is no bondage? How do you know?
I just some other responses, because there's two questions you're asking. Expectations, ignorance, when we forget that it's temporary, when we take pleasure from things, attachments, karmic accounts, getting trapped, taking sorrow.
Nice, very good.
You feel ownership. Yeah.
Sometimes just a simple example. Say there is a cloud. Right now where I'm sitting, there's one beautiful cloud there in front. And oh, nice cloud. And I want to take a photograph. And I'm expecting that cloud will not change colors. I'm bringing the camera, and during this time, I hope that the cloud is not going to change color. And I'm creating an expectation. And the moment I create an expectation, cloud has become a master. Cloud can make me experience sorrow. Cloud can create disappointment. It can disappear. When I bring my camera, it may disappear. And I have lost, there was some wonderful cloud. So just creating an expectation, you create a bondage. So understand the scale of bondages we create here. This world, physical world, these invisible travelers are passing through this. They got no control on any of these things. They are just passing, and see if there is any bondage created at different levels. And then we'll come to the subject of bondage through karma. So here, apart from the bond of love for service, there are no other bonds. Father Brahma was also a server, but whilst doing service, there was no bondage. Royal forms of desire in service also tie some in the bondage of service. True servers are free from karmic accounts. This is called the karmatit stage. Just as there is the bondage of the body, bondage of relationships of the body, so too desires within service are also bondage, and they create an obstacle to your becoming karmatit. To become karmatit means to become free from that royal karmic account. So we will have to observe the whole range of bondages we have created. And once you have created bondages, you have created masters. We give the example of cloud. You created a master. Master may be nice. Yeah, I want some, it has to stay there, it stays, it happens to stay there. And I think I'm happy about it. I think it is progress. But I'm still a slave. And one day, cloud behaves differently, I will experience sorrow. So in the relationships, you might notice in your relationships, almost all relationships, at work, at home, in your town, you might have created expectations and you don't know you have a bondage. It will stand out only when they change their behavior. Certainly they behave differently. And then you suddenly realize, here it was a bondage. That's why it is disturbing you. Those who are very nice, you create more bondages. You are expecting them to be like this, forever. So proof that there is no bondage. Their behavior changes, their attitude change, they disappear, they appear. It is not disturbing you. So anyone got any bondage? Any bondage to anything in this world? In this story world, anyone has got any bondages? No one says yes. So there must be free.
There are some yeses, and a question, how do we know?
Your thoughts gives you an idea, where the mind is going. Some cyclical thoughts, then definitely there is a bondage. Some situation, change of situation, pull or push. You are pulled by something, behavior, some words. Someone may say something. If it disturbs you, then there is definitely bondage. Freedom from bondage, your mind, you got your sky, you got your celestial celebration. How come you have time to think about story in an obsessive way? So very fact that you give this preference in the story, it means there is a bondage. If you are able to put a full stop, something happened, something changed, someone cancelled, sure, okay, bye-bye. You can put a full stop to that whole department in your mind. Then you are free from bondage.
Is this merely from last Sunday?
Yes.
Just a couple of comments. One from Roy saying relationships and marriage seem to be based on mutual expectations. And
that's right. In lots of relationships, people become each other's slaves. One is slave of another is slave of another. And so it becomes a dysfunctional relationship.
Is that the same as codependency?
That is defined slightly differently. This is a better term for this is dysfunctional.
So the expectations give power to the one that we expect it from, for example, others' behavior.
Yeah, it can be even an object, like we said, cloud. It can be a complete stranger. It can be your car. You create an expectation and you become dependent.
It can also be with like our career, like too committed.
Yeah, anything in the drama. So we'll come to the next passage. So here, karmatit. So how you get into the bondage of your actions. So you don't like, bondages, but do you like golden chains? So royal bondages, so golden chains. So celebrate today as the day to become free from any limited awareness of mind. That is, become karmatit. This is giving your proof of love for God. You understand? So someone says, I love God, I love God. And here it says, if you love God, then proof of love is not making a big statue and sitting in front of the statue. That is not your proof of love for God. Proof of love is become free. Come out of this bondage. Everyone's aim is to become karmatit, and that is good. Now check to what extent you have become free from any bondage. Firstly, check whether you are free from any selfish motives in relationships. Secondly, have you become free from the account from the past? Do not think, I don't want this to happen, but my nature makes me do it. This too is not a sign of one who is free, but sign of one who is tied in bondage. When your original stage fluctuates due to any service situation, your actions, and if your stage fluctuates because of any gathering or because of matter elements, weather, cold, hot, that too is not a stage of being free from bondage. Thirdly, also become free from upheaval created due to illness of the body. It is one thing for the illness to come, and it is another thing for that illness to make you disturbed. It is the destiny for the illness to come. But for your stage to fluctuate is a sign of bondage. become free from having thoughts about illness. I'm ill, why? So whoever comes, you keep talking about your situation. So become free from the thoughts of the illness. Instead, have thoughts of your soul consciousness, original self, thoughts of knowledge, thoughts of being one with pure thoughts and positive thoughts. Because thinking too much about matter changes the thought into a worry. So to become free from that is also the karmatic stage. To become free from all these bondages means karmatic stage. Father Brahma became free from all these types of bondages and attained the karmatic stage. So today is the day to become karmatic, like Father Brahma. Did you understand the significance of this day? I'll give you one more scenario. Bondage to karma is one bondage is you think you did it. Like for example, you are near the river and one child falls in the river. It is freezing water. You jump in the river. It's a deep river. There is current. You jump in the river. You save the child. And it was very serious. No one else was able to do it. You saved the child. So that is good. Will you feel I saved the child? Not at all. You are not telling anyone that I saved. No, you are not saying it. But next time the child comes, child says, will you feel 1%? Will there be a 1% feeling that I saved you? I gave you life? 1% or not at all?
Yes, there is for sure.
Say you come out with an invention. You did some hard work, 6 months, you really worked hard. You came out with an invention. And that invention saves the world. It gave so necessary invention. Or it was not just corona virus, but it was an invention that saved the world from many things. And you get prize also. Will you feel it was my invention? I came with this invention? Or will you completely, not even 1% feeling that this is my invention?
Well, because saying you feel proud when you've done a good thing.
Yeah, proud. And just feeling, even if it is not a overt pride, just I did it. So the big message here, don't take the entitlement for the action. I'll read a short passage in this connection. It is in the spiritual writings. So there is a possibility of using the word I, my action, I saved. That possibility is there, no?
Yes, yes.
I'll read this passage. He is pure and independent of body's desire. He is able to deal with the unexpected, prepared for everything, unperturbed by anything. He is neither vain nor anxious about the results of his actions. He is dear to me. He does not desire or rejoice in what is pleasant. He does not dread what is unpleasant or grieve over it. He remains unmoved by good or evil fortune. He is dear to me. His attitude is the same towards friend and foe. He is indifferent to honor, insult, heat, cold, pleasure, pain. He is free from attachments. He values praise and blame equally. He can control his speech. He is content with what he gets. His home is nowhere. He is at home everywhere. His mind is fixed upon me, and his heart is full of love for me. He is dear to me. He must accept pleasure and pain with equal tranquility, self-controlled, ever contented, united constantly with me in his meditation. His resolve must be unshakable, dedicated to me in intellect and in mind. He is dear to me. He neither molests his fellow men nor allows himself to become disturbed by the world. No longer swayed by joy, envy, anxiety, fear, he is dear to me. Just gives an idea of freedom that is natural. So how is it possible to achieve that level of freedom from all these things, and freedom even from the action that you performed, and not create entitlement for the action? Let me give an example. Say you are acting in a drama, and in the drama you are acting as a scientist, and with a long beard, that is the mask you have, and you are a scientist in the drama, and scientist comes out with the invention and saves the world. And drama finishes, you go home, and someone congratulates you at home for coming out with this great invention. Will you accept the congratulation? Or will you think this person is not thinking clearly? That's what you will feel. But that's the drama, and you are completely different. And that was a stunt in the drama. Some scientist with a long beard and he comes out with some invention. Same here. Here, what we are seeing is a stunt. And there are invisible actors. And on this stage, things are planned, things are happening according to the script. If you have crossed a line, which means you think you are that scientist, then game is over. Then whether you say you don't take entitlement or you do, you are already in the confusion camp, and then all this will be difficult. This karmatit is far away. It is a life of bondages. But if the invisible actor is conscious, and you are conscious, this is the drama. What is happening here is a big drama. And this is just a stunt. Right now, Prashant is talking, that is also a drama going on. And there is an actor behind. Invisible actor has got his own word. That invisible actor actually lucky, more lucky. His life is with God and much bigger. And so he finds everything that we read here, it will become natural for him. He knows it, one line here, his home is nowhere. Here, he doesn't think this is his home. But at the same time, he knows of his home, true home. He's at home. Yes, excellent. That happy whenever you want to take the rooms. But if there are any comments, we can take the comments.
Yes. Questions. Is it always the habit of expectations that creates bondage, regardless of the object in the story? It could be a situation, relationships, money, etc.
Expectation is a first, very, very common form of bondage. We create expectations even from strangers, complete strangers, and don't realize it is absurd to get into this bondage. So it's very, very common, but we create bondages at many levels, in many different ways. Ego is embodiment of bondage. Ego is right in the pot.
Yes, and a beggar, like was discussed yesterday. Kim is asking, is it really possible to be truly egoless, especially when navigating the labyrinth of human experiences? You kind of answered it really in a sense just now, but do you want to add anything?
If some actor acting in a drama, he doesn't think he is that mask and he is that role. He plays the part. He may be even playing the part of a king. But if he was really to believe he is a king, they will call a doctor to treat him. He remains 100% free from the ego of the part he's playing. So if it is possible for them, it is possible for us to be in this drama and not go into those attachments to the mask and to the props.
Maybe this answers the question, this question as well. When we have commitments to others, to a spouse, for example, how does one navigate that while trying to experience freedom? Are you saying it's the freedom from our own role, first and foremost?
Yeah, starting position is, wholesale. You understand there are no relations in a story, in a drama. There are no true relations. True relations are behind the story, behind the drama. At present, we are completely ignoring it. We think as if this is all, everything has to revolve around Cinderella. So in the waking stage, you realize that true relations are behind the story. That is the true home, true self, true family, true brothers, all alaukic and immortal. That includes everyone. That includes even those who are in the drama with you. But you are now seeing they are also your brothers, their souls. And now you are not operating from delusion. Now you are operating from clarity. And so first, once that is in place, many other things fall in place. It's a different paradigm.
That really helps. Yes, Kim has typed. The pain that we may feel when a relationship ends, is that a kind of Vinash force?
Pain is just a result of bondage. But why the relationship ends, that is Vinash force maybe. But pain is result of bondage.
Roy is asking, where has the concept of marriage come from?
That's the drama, that's all we can say. Drama script is like this.
Good answer. Now we have a question. It would be nice to understand a bit about the word accurate. You've mentioned it, and it gets used in the Murli. Brahmins talk about it often. And it would be good to have some clarification as to its true meaning, what is really meant by this word, if you would like to share any thoughts.
The word accurate?
Yes.
Yes, I like that word very much. I know at the present time, science is a very, very powerful authority on this planet. And it is because their structure is based on understanding things accurately. That's all. Not they sort of whatever they do it accurately. As opposed to religions. Religions don't have those who are dealing with religions. Their emphasis is not accuracy. For example, the scientists, they will not say this red wire or green wire. Any wire is okay. No, they will be very particular. What is the right wire? Where it should go? That's why you get results. Right now, you from different cities, we all can communicate here because someone has done things accurately. That's why things are working. In religious tradition, they remain vague, and then you don't get big results. There may be some very high knowledge brought by the prophets, but those who are trying to understand and those who are trying to put into practice, there is that, not emphasis on understanding it accurately. So here also the same thing may continue. Here we are talking about soul consciousness, being conscious, soul, invisible traveler, watching the drama. Story, that's all is a story, invisible traveler. Okay, we heard it. It is a question of one sentence. But you may observe, over the next 24 hours, how often you practiced it accurately and how much there was vagueness and there was ego mixed in it and margins were mixed, story mixed with your life and your life mixed with the story. How much Cinderella and you were mixed up and how much, understand Cinderella, the part in the drama, and you, the actor, the invisible actor, see if it was there. And after all this, you still think it is soul consciousness. That means you don't get good marks in accuracy. So it can happen, mixture can happen, but the one who is accurate, he will say, okay, all this half an hour, I can't get 1 mark even. It was half an hour was mixed. Let me create 1 minute of accuracy. Only when you practice accurately, there are results. When you mix it, we don't have to go too much into details, so many books, and not necessary. Simple things that you have understood. If you catch hold of it and create that time of quality time, just to go in the experience, go in the depth, you will continue to discover a lot more.
Yes. And there are other questions. I don't know if you want to take a break now. We can.
Maybe one more question, an easy question.
Okay. There's a couple around Vinash forces. I don't know if it's an easy question, but are all bondages and unfulfilled expectations and the resulting sorrow, are they all Vinash forces?
Any unpleasant situation that comes to us from drama, they are Vinash forces. If internally I feel it is unpleasant, it means it's a Vinash force.
Daksha just wants to add, do they just come to punish or make the decision, or give a direction?
We don't use the word punish. Nature doesn't punish, but nature is, if I sit in a wrong posture, I get a signal. Just like your mother might tell you, if you sit like that, your bones will break. In the same way, nature gives you a signal to protect you. So that pain comes to guide us to change. And if I don't hear with the first message, then pain gets stronger. It just goes to another level. So earlier we learned, we reduce the penalty.
Thank you. It's nice to be reminded nature doesn't punish. It's like a recorrection. So do you want to create a question for reflection to help the room discussion?
Let us see the destination, Karmatit, and if there are any bondages, still any bondages, and what is the way to become free from these bondages in a short time.
Excellent. You have 10 minutes actually, so it's a short time to discuss. 10 to 15 minutes. So let's create a few moments of reflection, meditation together. Thank you. And before we start, just going to start with the Hindi language. Get going. So Kilia can just unmute now. And we have Constantina, who's joining today from Bristol, and would be happy to hear some thoughts, anything you'd like to share on this subject today.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me well?
Yes, it's good. Thank you.
Yeah, we had an interesting conversation in our group. And I think one thing that came up was how difficult sometimes is to identify these attachments. But also how there's so many different levels of attachments. Some that they feel, some are quite deep and quite tight knots, and others are a bit more subtle. But a general theme was that it is, it is quite difficult to identify them. And I was thinking that it's such a useful practice in our spiritual journey, though, to pay attention to that aspects if on life. And it's not just the attachment issue, the issue that maybe we need to think that is, I mean, the difficulty is the delusion that is in place in the first instance, that somehow, you're thinking, who wouldn't like to have this freedom from all attachments? We all feel so attracted to this idea. It's going to be such a beautiful feeling to be totally free and be able to fly. And yet ego constantly is telling us that that we can't, let go, or we just, that it's not okay to let go. We think there's something fundamentally important that we're going to miss out if we let go for attachments. And I think it's because it all starts from building our sense of self-worth on the wrong foundation. And in this context, the guest perspective becomes so important. Once you understand that the attachment you've been developing are on the wrong foundation, so temporary, built on paper, plastic, then the whole perspective changes. I think it's only in that moment that one will be willing to let go of attachments, because you can see things as they really are. So I think the guest perspective, when we truly connect with it, can really facilitate that process of letting go. But I think we need to get out of that delusion first. And I think another important point for oneself is to see life challenges within context as a way of understanding what your attachments are. So times where one gets upset, as we were saying, or you have feelings of discomfort, maybe it's a good point to stop and think what's really going on there, and stop the supply. In some ways you can see, if you have attachments related to relationships, and if you find yourself trying to control relationships to gain something, let go of that, let go of the supply of how you're trying to feed these attachments. So these are some of my thoughts, and Om Shanti.
Thank you. Enjoyed hearing it from the way you articulated it. And it's like seeing these signals to learn and to grasp, have I really got the essence and the subtlety of the guest? And as you were saying, the Maya that says it's either not possible or not desirable. And that's good to start to see those things. And yeah, very, very, very helpful. And any other comments from others that came up in your discussion, do feel free, and if you want to type them in essence. So welcome back to everyone, and welcome back, Prashant.
Thank you. Let us come back to some practice, attention. We use the language of the invisible actors, and we see it not just as a nice meditation. We see that this is normal. We are just trying to come out of this delusion. What was mentioned just now, something that is paper or plastic, you are getting drawn into it and buried into the story. And it all appears so real and normal. So with the knowledge and with using the paras intellect, we are bringing back our mind back to normal, seeing the perspective of one who is conscious. So the actor is conscious, invisible actor. He is the invisible soul. And he sees everything that was around us today, including this gathering and Zoom. It is all part of the plastic, temporary story at the theater. And to get trapped in that further, to live at that level, ignoring the real is a wrong posture. And wrong posture brings pain. It doesn't help anyone. The delusion doesn't help anyone. I can love and sing song of love, but at the end of the day, everyone suffers if we stay in delusion. What was mentioned nicely, even your love for God, proof of that is change your posture. If you love for God, but if you still stay in the wrong posture, you'll get pain. If you love God, then proof of it is come out of these attachments, come out of delusion, really. And we are seeing the easy way here. Just getting this, we are underlining these words, alokik. Yesterday we translated unearthly. But the larger meaning of that word, that is invisible, that is divine, that is eternal. That whole reality of the world behind the plastic, the real world. And this is eternal world, God's world. And we are seeing this as normal. We have to see it as normal. So it becomes more and more natural for us. For the soul that is conscious, it is normal. So right now, it appears Prashant is talking, that it appears like that. And Prashant is talking. But one who can be conscious is not Prashant, but the invisible actor behind Prashant. Prashant is part of the Cinderella. So our intellect has ability to grasp it. Paras is this. So you are seeing this perspective of the invisible soul who is just visiting this physical world. He's a guest. He's not from here. And he is immensely useful to everyone, relations and non-relations, because he sees the truth. And that's why he is able to take others out of attachment. Only then it is of benefit. Only then all this love has value, because it will lead to no pain. If everyone changes posture, there is no pain. Yesterday we saw, when we are in this wrong position, ego takes birth. Ego within the story, and ego is stubborn. Ego want to keep you there. But ego is also the beggar. What we saw yesterday, the forever ego is begging for love, begging for position. Ego will go to any level too. And beggar is the lowest denomination in any society. And if we create ego, life itself is in that mentality. That mindset is of a beggar. We are talking about lowest denomination in any society is the beggar. We have the option to, we can't superficially say prince, because it is beggar can say I'm a prince. But the soul that is conscious, the invisible traveler, he is the prince. Why he is the prince? To start with, he needs nothing from the story. Not even preferences, no expectation. He knows he lacks nothing, he misses nothing, he loses nothing. Worth writing this down, few words. That is soul prince. If we were calling him the prince, prince should not be the beggar. So awake prince, the invisible traveler. He needs nothing. He lacks nothing. He's just watching the story. He misses nothing. And he loses nothing. For him, every scene of the theater is a gift. He claps and he goes home. Camel comes, camel goes. Mouse comes, mouse goes. A nice entertainment. He's not complaining. He knows it is a story. Camel will go. He doesn't get attached to the camel. His love is not for the camel, but he loves the invisible actors. Behind this drama, the actors. So one who is Paras, who knows that the real family, real people are the invisible actors. That's why his love has value, his idea of progress has value. It leads somewhere. His idea of success has some value. So as we play with this, we are just playing with this, seconds, minutes, it just becomes stronger and guaranteed. Tomorrow you are coming back to it, it will become even more easy. Paras become stronger and these experiences will become deeper. Anyone who practices music, he has created 10 hours, he will just be better than the first day. Same thing here. more time you are creating here, it will just get deeper and natural. And it is a big success as this soul becomes conscious and the sky becomes real to you. We are talking here about God and truth and immortality and true self. Prince, you are discovering the treasures, discovering a mind that feels you're lucky, you got the best, and you lack nothing. You feel every moment is a gift. And from that mind, if you got something to do, act, you're still acting. But you are coming into this world as a prince, not as a beggar. There will be zero selfishness. Prince means, he is lucky. He is not coming here to take something. So that mind itself is the biggest prize. But as we are seeing, that mind also brings different forces. He is lucky at all levels. He makes others lucky. So it's a different game. Prince, opposite of the other mindset, ego mindset. We cannot remove ego in that lower consciousness. Like lots of therapies and all that happens. Without soul consciousness, you are just in that circle. It can be one ego replaced by another ego. The only way to remove ego is you have to go beyond. And that's why the importance of not just knowing of the soul, but soul waking up. I might still underline the word accuracy, creating these minutes of quality. And then we are on the highway. If there are any comments, questions, it will be nice to create some time for this.
In a way, it feels like the answer is already been said, but different aspects come up. There was a question from Ezra. So due to weakness or impurity, say, for example, the beggar mind, in that mind we make a mistake, and then there's guilt and shame, and one is in the delusion as well, and maybe feeling disempowered, we go around in circles judging ourselves. And in that mindset, we are more like a devotee, thinking that we will receive punishment or that we should receive it. What do you suggest to get the beggar out of the illusion?
The answer to lots of our many questions, answer is change the present. It is good to understand, and to go into little detail, but that should not be instead of changing the present. We don't say live in the present. That is not the aim, but let in the present, let the prince wake up. If a beggar lives in the present, at the end of the day, he will still be beggar. Understand that? Living in the present, but mentality will still be the beggar at the end of the day. But make the present elevated, make it noble. And we have got this secret. Be good at this. How to come in this perspective of the observer, invisible observer. And once you make the present elevated, then as if it solves things. that is ruling your mind, and many things change. I want to also mention, someone put it nicely, one sister, bullet is out from the gun, bullet is out, you can't take it back. So any action that is performed, it has its results. Anytime in the past or today, every action, every small thing, everything is counted for. Sure, but let me change the present, let me change the future. And then you are experiencing that and you're happy with that.
I think that's very practical. Another point that came up in the room discussion that was being raised, when we have responsibility for, say, children, and there is a very involved role there with correcting and teaching, and anything that you'd like to highlight that's useful in this, because bondage can be very, very strong there. And anything you want to highlight in this relationship, how to end the attachment part, and
Remind me again, bondage between
like parent and child, and this particular relationship, when it's such an involved relationship as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course, we have to bring in, ordinarily we can't change anything in that lower consciousness where he struggles. As we said earlier, you go from one camp to another camp, one ego to another ego. You're just superficial patch up. The change is possible only if you are bringing in this new energy of the soul, and then the awake soul is seeing things in a different way. To start with, he understands the other person is also a soul, and he's seeing other person as a brother. He understands that it is not a child, it is in the drama, it is a child, but behind that there is a brother. Even for a few minutes, bring in this angle. Even when going is good, bring in this angle, that here is a brother, invisible actor. Playing a body is so tiny, and you have to play the part of the father and the child. That is going on. But behind there is a soul there, and we are brothers, and we have our own life and destiny. And so you are bringing this angle, and that will grow. As you are playing with it, that will become stronger and gradually become more dominant. So that will happen in a nice way.
It has a feeling of great respect for the soul as well, and the role is to be dispensable as the child grows. So somehow this feels very freeing for both. And just another question, Shayla was asking, we're not taking anything with us, and we need to bring this remembrance because it helps us on our journey. What are the tips to keep in remembrance? Because this is the hardest part, is holding this consciousness.
The most effective is create a structure of reminders through the day, and very good reminders. If you got some other friends who are interested in a similar journey, similar direction, create some support group where you can connect through Skype or phone, just for even 5 minutes, just collectively creating these minutes of reminder. Just share your important realization. In different ways, we have to create reminders and revision. Any student A good student creates time for revision.
Thank you. So I know we're coming close to time. If there's anything you would like to add, and then we will finish with the drill.
We mentioned yesterday the subject of prince and the beggar. Obviously, the invisible soul is natural prince. He belongs to the King of Kings. And but we also saw yesterday the beggar is also stubborn, and the ego is the beggar. And successful beggar is more difficult. He has got no intention to change even. So in this world, how many people are interested? You can speak about this to 100 people. See if they want to change. If they are successful in their drama, so the beggar is seeing it as successful beggar, and it just becomes more difficult for them. Now for us, Baba uses a language. Better to die than to beg. This is like a big slogan for us to remember. Better to die than to beg. Why? Because body will not die, but the ego within us will die. And you have to take that very strong line if you want to remove the ego, that in various situations, position is, I am not going to beg, some expectations, someone's attention, someone's love. Better to die than to beg. This is your slogan. And that will stop the ego, and that will stop that beggar mentality. That is exactly what is required for the prince to become conscious. Yeah, as we said, we have to work on both fronts. On one front, we are creating time for the soul, and someone might say, I'm creating time, but am I just getting glimpses why it is not stable? Because beggar is there. So we have to also work on beggar and stop the beggar. Okay, let us say a beggar has decided he's not going to beg. Better to die than to beg. So he's just sitting there, and someone else is going, and he throws a coin. So he says, why is he throwing a coin? He thinks I'm a beggar. So he tells him, take that coin back. I'm not a beggar. Why are you throwing this coin? Never throw this coin again. So that person says, sorry. He collects the coin. He goes. So you're sitting there. Next person comes and throws 20,000 pounds. Not a coin, but few notes. What do you do? Do you tell him, take it back? Why are you throwing it? Do you think I'm a beggar? Will you tell it? Or will you say, no, will there be a difference? One coin you said, take it back. When 20,000 pounds, there is a possibility taking it. A beggar starts somewhere. How come Prince became a beggar? He started somewhere. There is a price of some kind. And so, the challenges will come. In our case, begging is not for the coins, but begging for praise, begging for some attention, begging for someone's love and song, the position. Things will come. And internally, you have to check, is the beggar here, impressed with this? Impressed. That's why he will take it, if he's impressed. Is there a beggar here who is, sort of gives it a value? So how do you deal with it? You have intention to remove the beggar, and you say better to die than to beg. But how do you deal with someone throwing a coin and someone throwing bigger coins. Okay, nice. Another message, that is worth remembering in this context. For the one who is conscious, this paper world, temporary world, Constantina said plastic world, that is not worth a penny. Whole thing is not worth a penny. So within that, a big coin is not worth a penny, and 20,000 pounds also for him is not worth a penny. You can see that it is fictional paper. You can see it is temporary. It is going to go any moment. He's not impressed with anything. If that is your inner attitude, then you will not be feeding the beggar also. As a Brahmin, if you are feeding the beggar all the time, then it delays the process. You are creating time, you are waking up early, creating time for meditation, but rest of the day you are feeding the beggar. And beggar will block the process. So reflect on this, how to stop the beggar. Yesterday, Sarah said, stop the chicken. So it is a stop the chicken campaign. Yeah, thank you. We'll hear the transmission, but also if anyone wants to say anything, that is also, we can create 2 minutes more, and then the transmission.
There are many different questions being stimulated. It's interesting, Ada's asking, someone who is generous and always giving, can they be actually creating beggars?
One is giving is a different thing. We are sharing, giving, but also help others, become free from beggar. We want to make them free and help the prince at another level. But there is a society in heaven, everyone wants to give, and it becomes heaven. In hell, everyone wants to take, and no one wants to give, that becomes hell. So the attitude of giving is good. But as we are emphasizing here, giving respect, giving love, giving at another level, giving light. Souls need light at the present time for them to wake up. These are more precious giving.
Very nice, and maybe that's a good place to hold for practice. If you wanted to give a kind of maybe it could be a reflective question or something you feel would hold the effort, any direction, or some that might find it useful before we meet again.
This will be a big area. How to stop the beggar.
Stop the chicken.
Yes.
Yeah. And spending time to really grasp this, the prince and the rights. So it's working on 2 fronts, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It is like a very intelligent. You want to grow in soul consciousness and discover that sky, discover God. Who wouldn't like to? But you will be clever for that. Don't feed Ravan on the other side. Be extra. Karmatit is that. Karmatit, you are stopping the bondages on the other side. So good luck.
Thank you. So we will meet tomorrow, and we'll finish with a few minutes of a drill, and Have a very good day. Thank you.
अभी एक सेकंड में सभी प्रमाण अपने राजयोग के अभ्यास करते हुए मन को एकाग्र करने का मालिकपन मन को जहाँ जाओ जितना समय जाओ जैसे जाओ वैसे अभी अभी मन को एकाग्र करो कहाँ भी मन यहाँ वहाँ चंचल नहीं हो मेरा बाबा मीठा बाबा प्यारा बाबा Cha.